Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Soccers and the Major Arena Soccer League, coming to you live on Twitch. Greg Elston, Jerry Jimenez with you. We have reached the end of the regular season road, but it's playoff time. Season 4, episode 22 of our show is titled Playoff Time because the Soccers are the number 1 seed, the MASL Shield winners. And now there's only one thing left to do, and that's win the whole thing, as they said in Major League. Jerry, it's wonderful to see you, my friend. Hope you're having a great evening. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been an exciting last couple of games. Obviously, like you said, now we just got to keep it going. There's no more trap games. There's none of that. Now it's just get it done, So yeah, excited and ready to go.
On tonight's show, the Soccers clinched the MASL Shield and turned the showdown of the year in the league into an anticlimactic affair. Closing day sees every domino fall against the Ontario Fury. Fury out, ambush in, San Diego facing Milwaukee in the first round. We have a first on Soccer's Overtime. We will have a bilingual special guest interview. Leonardo de Oliveira will join us at the bottom of the hour and bring some Brazilian flavor to the podcast. But Jerry didn't have to learn Portuguese quickly. We'll have a Spanish interview that we'll translate to English for you. And stay tuned for this. A key rules clarification by the league, which we just got this morning, changes the Soccer's possible road to a Ron Newman Cup. We will explain in MASL News. A lot to get to on this week's edition of Soccer's Overtime. As always, we say a special hello to everyone who is joining us live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/San Diego Soccers. Make sure that you follow us so you get live notifications on your phone every time that we go live with the show. Also, hello to everyone who's watching the replay on our YouTube channel at San Diego Soccers, and everyone, of course, who's listening to us in audio form as a podcast in your phone, in your car, wherever you consume your audio content. We are happy to have you with us. All right, Jerry, there was so much going on last week, man. It was hard to keep everything straight.
Yeah.
The playoff permutations, I was asking for explainers every day, and I was getting more and more confused each and every day, but it all did settle, and it all did sort out in the end. Let's get into it. Let's get into our recaps to get things started. And we'll begin with Thursday night and the Florida Tropics coming to town, March 31st, 2022. The game everyone had circled for so long in this league, number 1 versus number 2, Jerry. And we had a great crowd, an opening night, $5 GA tickets, $2 beers. It was a really festive group. The Los Brujos de 78 were out in full strength. And what did we get? We got a Soccers team completely in sync, demolishing the Tropics, getting 5 goals in the first 10.5 minutes. What a first quarter.
Fantastic first quarter. I mean, Tavoy Morgan, obviously the star. And we heard it. I mean, you came into the game on Sunday, and when Tavoy was announced coming in, I think that he earned those cheers on this match on against Florida, on Thursday. So it was just such a crazy game, such a crazy first quarter. It was great to see, and the atmosphere was amazing, Craig. I mean, like you said, we had such great deals. We were expecting a good crowd, but I was not expecting it to be that loud. I mean, the crowd was into it. It was amazing.
So much fun. And Morgan, we are learning, is the ultimate streak player in the Major Arena Soccer League right now, because when he gets one, then he's on fire, like the old NBA Jam, and then there's flames rocketing off the ball. Look at him completely dominate a double team between one of 2 players that will probably be on all league, Victor Pereira and Chad Vandegrift, right there, and just annihilates them, splits the double team, turns it into a goal on his own. Soccer's set piece defense a little bit lacking in the match, and they did concede a goal on set piece defense. But then Tavoy for the natural hat trick. And we did get confirmation, by the way, Jerry, that did graze off his head. We got a behind the goal replay that showed it. Definitely did touch Tavoy's head, because I know on the broadcast I was like, did that get his head, or was that a long Mitchell Cardenas goal that Tavoy gets credit for? But no, give Morgan credit. What an incredible start to the match to have 3 goals before anyone else has really breathed.
Yeah, no, for Mitchell Cardenas, I think he's happy to let him have that one. But man, Mitchell had also quite a few good looks, and oh my goodness, again, this team is just something to witness. Tavoy just 3 in a row. It was a great thing to see, and I was behind the goal on that one, and I did see it grace his head, as you mentioned. So I knew that was his goal, and it was going to be given to him, no problem. But I mean, we're looking at about 4.5 minutes left of that first quarter, and we go up 4-0, man. A golazo again by our very own Charlie Gonzalez, Charlie Golazo. And it's just domination, complete domination at this point. 4-0, 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes left. It's just, you love to see it.
Rainer House was the man in net for Florida, and he was just having a rough one. I believe that Drew Ruggles got a little bit of a deflection on that shot by Charlie Gonzalez, but nonetheless, perfectly placed. Charlie just red hot down the stretch this season. Almost had the ultimate golazo there with the right to left behind the back move on the feed from Tavoy. But Tavoy just getting started. How about that? The spin to the left foot, his off foot, nutmegging the defender while beating the goalkeeper. Morgan on absolute fire, 4 goals in a quarter, a 5-0 lead for San Diego. Essentially, the game was over at this point, as this is, in fact, the game-winning goal you see as you're watching the replay with us on Twitch right there.
Yeah, what's crazy to me too is we'll talk about it. He does score another one, but I mean, he had a different celebration for every single goal, Craig. Like, where does he just pulls him out of a hat? Like, is he just ready? He knows, he's confident. He knows he's going to score a goal. So he just has him like in his back pocket. All right, now I'm going to do this one. And now I'm going to do that one. You just, it can't get enough of those Tavoy celebrations.
And I loved the first one where Leo joined in. We should probably talk to Leo about it, but he and Tavoy have just had a really special connection, I think, all season long, in terms of Leo really embracing his role as being the 10 feeding the 9 and being that facilitator that really gets Tavoy going. So 5-1 at the end of the first quarter, and the Sockers did not let up. Rainer House, who only made a couple of saves the entire first half, denied the 5-goal half for Tavoy Morgan, but San Diego just on fire. And the vision of Charlie Gonzalez to be able to pick out on the old backdoor play, kind of an alley-oop slam dunk basketball play there. Christian Gutierrez coming from the dunker's spot, racing to the back post and getting that pass from Charlie over the top of the defense. It was indicative of the fact that the Sockers were completely in sync in this game. This had to have been their most complete performance of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, we'd be failing if we don't mention that the Tropics were coming in from a game the previous night. And so these guys must have been tired, and it was showing. It really was showing for them on this night. I don't believe that Ruggles played, though. Did he? I don't think he played against Ontario, right?
Right. He had served accumulation of points suspension
Oh,
for
okay.
having too many blue and yellow cards. So he was fresh on Thursday. But I had learned before the match, Jerry, that not only was it 2 games in 2 days for Florida, but the previous weekend they had played in Utica, and the Tropics just made it an honest to goodness road trip. They flew from Florida to New York, from New York to LA, drove to Ontario, drove down to San Diego. So they were at the end of a road trip, like a real road trip, and one that didn't involve them coming home to Florida in between. So, I respect that. I respect that maybe they were, a little bit less than sharp. And when they fell behind, maybe they had a little bit less to give. We see their second goal deflected off of Mitchell Cardenas by Victor Pereira. And that's just how good Boris Pardo was, and really was all weekend, that you look at the goals that beat him, and like 60, 75% of them were off deflections.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an unfortunate one, and again, yeah, it goes to show how good Boris is. And then, right after that, we get a goal from, Dallin Carter or Cutler, sorry, excuse me, Dallin Cutler, who that believe that's his first professional goal in MASL. So,
It is.
um, and he are we gonna talk about him as well?
Yeah, we will. We will. So, I mean, what a weekend for Dallin Cutler,
Yeah,
the Rancho Bernardo boys high school coach, soccer coach, and SD Soccer's two starting midfielder, who has drawn into the Soccer's lineup the last 4 games because of so many injuries, right? For the San Diego Sockers. But he
yeah,
played great in his limited run and picked up that goal when a ball got to him on a breakaway to start the or to end the second quarter. Absolutely beautiful. Later on, I didn't put it in the run through, but SD Soccer's 2 played Sunday afternoon against RGV, which was a great game. RGV Barracudas had our old friend Diego Arriaga in net. They had Gustavo Rosales, the old Solis captain. They were a tough team, and it was a 6-5 overtime game. And Cutler made the play of the game in overtime, kicking what would have been RGV's golden goal off the line and denying them the win. And then he had to come back and dress in the nightcap against Ontario, and he had the play of the game in that match too. Incredible weekend for Dallin Cutler, who announced yesterday on Instagram, as we see this great breakaway by Charlie Gonzalez, feeding it over at the last second to Christian Gutierrez for his second goal of the match against Florida. Cutler announcing on Instagram that at the end of these seasons for SD Soccer's 2 and Soccer's, he's hanging up his cleats. He's not going to be coaching boys soccer anymore. He's leaving the sport and he's moving.
yeah.
So great finishing burst to your career, Dallin Cutler. Let's get him a ring or two on the way out.
Yeah, why not? I sure do hope so. And he has that San Diego connection. For those of you that are not familiar, Cutler did play for 1904 when 1904 was around. Now Albion, and they're going to be playing against Loyal coming up actually very soon. Maybe they're playing right now if you're listening on a Wednesday afternoon. But yeah, no, Cutler just fantastic plays. And as you mentioned, if you didn't watch that M2 game, what a game that was, Craig. You got to call that, and you can watch the replay live on, or not live anymore, but it's on YouTube,
Yeah.
available on YouTube for you to watch. And what just fantastic game. And so kudos to Cutler.
Now, the game got really chippy in the fourth quarter, and we just saw the replay for everyone who's watching live with us on Twitch. But uh, there were a number of hard hits in the match. Brandon Escoto tends to draw a lot of this attention. He got run through by our old friend Taylor Bond. Pretty good. A hit that still has him sore today. But the play we just saw was Anthony Arrico sweeping the leg, Karate Kid style. Just an absolutely filthy, dirty play, which was reviewed by the league. Arrico was given a 1-game suspension for this play. Could have absolutely seriously injured Brandon Escoto with that deeply cynical tackle. However, Florida's last regular season match was canceled because Baltimore couldn't find a flight to the Sunshine State. So we're curious whether Arrico will serve that suspension in game 1 of the playoffs against St. Louis. I hope so, not because I care whether or not he plays or how it affects Florida, but because you should not get away with a dirty hit like that, Jerry. That was a terrible play. And quite frankly, I believe it should have been a straight red.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. It was just it totally unnecessary, totally unacceptable. And man, what is up with Escoto just being at the end of these hits recently? We had that other the Diesel hit too that was
Yeah.
reviewed, by the way, on under review. Go and check that out with Phil Ivanko and MSL head of officials Ryan Sigage. Such a good show, and he does. I mean, they both mentioned that was disgusting, but this one takes it, man. For me, I was a straight red. I'm not sure what exactly happened there. So 1-day suspension. I mean, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, hopefully the league stays strong on that because you shouldn't serve a suspension in a game that wasn't played. That's just my. This seems like one of my common sense opinions that I like to bring forward. So Tavoy cashes the power play goal after all of the fracas, and really at that point, this game was completely over. But a brilliant game by Boris Pardo should not go overlooked, including that play, a point-blank save that leads to the run-out, that leads to Charlie's goal, that makes it 10-2. At this point, the game is over. Pardo comes out. Xavier Snare-Williams comes in, and it's 2-1 Florida the rest of the match to wrap up 11-4. But I really thought this was as great an example as you can see of dominance in all three phases of the indoor soccer game. And when I say all three phases, it sounds like the football coach going all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams, right? But in this case, I'm talking about attack, defense, and possession, because the Sockers had an attack that was unselfish and intricate. They had possession that was continuous and sustained. I mean, really, the third quarter was almost entirely Sockers possess up 7-2 and then get 3 goals toward the end of the quarter once they've completely drained the legs of the Florida Tropics. And I thought San Diego's defense was excellent. I mean, really, when you look at the 2 goals that the X-Man let in late, both of them he had a thought about. I think that, he got his paw on that one, but that was a good shot from outside for Florida. The other one was a bounce he didn't read right off the glass. So, hey, great overall effort, pure team effort for the San Diego Sockers.
That's the thing right there. You just said it, team effort. And man, it was just absolutely a statement game. And, you said it, we got that shield and we earned it and showed that we deserved it on this night. So, yeah, what an amazing performance from the Sockers. It was definitely not expected, but I was very glad to see.
It's a good reminder for me to write shield ceremony into Soccer's news. We have some great, exciting news about the Soccer's shield ceremony, which is coming up this Sunday. So stay tuned for that. But 11-4, the final score, 5 points, 2 assists, 5 goals, 2 assists for Tavoy. You just saw the assist on the final goal of the match. Cesar Cerda power play goal to make it 11-4. Charlie Gonzalez, 2 goals, 3 assists. Christian Gutierrez with 2 more goals. Finishes the year with 19 goals on the season. And Boris Pardo, rock solid in net, 10 of 12 saves once again. Florida, we saw in this match, Jerry, one of the issues that is bedeviled the Tropics down the stretch, and they do finish as the number 2 seed. But you've got Rainer House starting that match, and then Jorge Navarrete coming in to play the second half. But ever since Hugo Silva had his visa revoked and he's been unable to play for the Florida Tropics, they've essentially had a rotating set of, I don't know if it's unfair to say replacement level goalies, guys who are usually backups in the league for various teams each year, and they're all rotating as Florida's starter, whether it's Brett Petrusek, who wasn't on that trip, or Navarrete or House. So the Tropics have a great attack. They average 8 goals a game in the regular season, but the Sockers, I thought, on the big field were really able to hold them down and then expose some of their issues in the back.
Yeah, 100%. And that was one of the things too that I noticed right off the bat is with the goalkeepers and then them switching and it just they don't have it together back there. And there's been a lot of changes, obviously, as you mentioned, with losing goalkeepers, this and that. And so could we see that team that we thought could, push through and really make a run for it in the playoffs? They're not looking all that great right now. Has there been any news of any bettering of the goalkeeper position for them at all, or are we pretty much going to see these 2 guys?
No, this is it. I mean, what they've got is what they've got. The roster freeze was the day before our match. So what they have for every team now in the league is what they have. And I still think, Florida should be considered one of the 3 favorites in the MASL playoff bracket in the Ron Newman Cup playoffs. But I got to be honest, I think they needed the game that got postponed or canceled. It won't be made up. The canceled game against Baltimore, because the last time Baltimore faced Florida in Florida, they beat the tar out of them 12-4. And then Florida went up to Utica and needed and lost in overtime to Utica City FC. Then they went to Ontario, Well, everyone beat the Fury, so they beat the Fury, but it was a pretty hard game. And then they came to us and they got drilled. They got absolutely smoked.
Yeah.
So if they had a chance to come home and have a good win and kind of move the ball around and get their stars going on Sunday against the Blast, I think that would have been a big pick me up for Florida. Instead, they're going to have to try and pick it up and do so in the playoffs at St. Louis, where, say what you want about the ambush, but they won 2 critical games they had to win, including a big win on the road at Kansas City on Sunday. So, they're going to be walking into another road match. And if the Tropics don't walk in correct, they could be heading back to Lakeland down 0-1 in the series going, I know we're better than this, but when are we going to find our game?
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. Now that I think about it more and more, that they maybe needed that game. What a weird situation to be in too. And I saw a lot of comments on social media talking about how was it Milwaukee that basically like made it through because of that missing game, or there was a point given, or I'm not sure exactly how that works out. And then, but it just again inconsistency and like I know that there's issues, there's going to be problems, but man, it just you hate to see that sort of a thing where anything can be construed in a way where now somebody can say, well, the soccer sometimes maybe are to get taken or given the advantage, or this
Yeah.
team never gets the advantage, and there's always these things, and I think this is one of those situations. But hey, we'll see. I absolutely agree with you though that we do need to still continue to see the Tropics as top 3. Who would be your number 2? Still KC or in the other
Chihuahua for sure.
Chihuahua? Okay, yeah.
Chihuahua is my second pick
Okay, yeah,
in the bracket, and we'll talk more about this when we get to MASL news. But
yeah. Oh, the
yeah, I mean,
Minnesota.
I would that's how I'd have them set right now in terms of favorites. I don't know if Kansas City would be 4th favorite, to be perfectly honest with you, but that's a story for a few minutes down the road. We'll have Leonardo de Oliveira joining us shortly. Let's just kind of get into the scene set for the Fury match. I don't think we can get all the way through the playoff, through the highlights before we're expecting Leo on. But we knew after Thursday that there were going to be some really interesting matches in the MASL on Saturday, on Sunday. And if you were an Ontario Fury fan, you had to watch Saturday's games in horror because everything that could have gone wrong for the Fury went wrong. They could have qualified for the playoffs if any of these results had gone the other way, but Milwaukee beat Dallas, and Dallas showed up in Milwaukee without their veterans, without Jamie Lovegrove, without Cameron Brown, and really didn't put a lot into the match, and Milwaukee won very easily. Utica City faced a Chihuahua team that didn't travel all of their top stars to the East Coast because those games didn't mean anything for them. And Utica City beat Chihuahua, and all of a sudden Utica was still alive. And then St. Louis won at home against Kansas City, and St. Louis was still alive. And then you got to Sunday, and Utica won again. And they pushed it as far as they could. And then St. Louis won again, and that eliminated Utica, but it also put all the pressure on Ontario. The Fury at that point needed all 3 points against needed a regular win in order to make the playoffs. And if they did, they would have been the 7th seed. And if they didn't, they would be out, and St. Louis would be the 7th seed. Well, Onoa Obasi, Justin Stinson connect on a nice wall of scorer, 63 seconds into the match. It's 1-0. A great play here as the ball is saved off the line that could have made it 2-0 very early in the game. I think that was an important moment. But the Sockers get a power play on an unforced error, 6-man power play for Ontario having too many men on the field. Leo, absolute ripper after Charlie Gonzalez had scored one earlier. Sockers lead 2-1. Onoa Obasi really tried to take control of this game, I thought, Jerry, and maybe a little bit too much in terms of the amount of time that he dominated just holding the ball.
Yeah, I did notice that. I feel like there was so much time wasted with not much happening, and Obasi having the ball at his feet, not doing much with it. It's tough because he's coming in. He's rather new. I mean, I would still consider him new to the Ontario squad, and has been able to helped him out a bit. But this game, I don't think that he did that, even if the intentions were good. And it was tough. It was a tough time for Ontario. It was so funny just to, kind of talk about what you just said with the movement of the games and the Ontario fans watching in horror. I had to keep asking people, "Hey, so what's the score now? What's the score now? And what's this game and what's going on here?" And multiple times I was like, "Well, we're playing Utica," or "No, we're playing the Wave," or "Oh no, we're playing Utica," and "Oh no, we're playing," So it went back and forth, and it was just such an interesting atmosphere. There was a lot of people there, obviously from Ontario visiting. You could see it in their face. This was just not one that they were going to really enjoy because of having heard what was going on in the other games. And it was like, hey, it's now or nothing. We have to do this, and they could not get it done. To their credit, they did put on a performance where they did keep the score pretty low, and
Mhm.
I felt like we could have scored a lot more on them, honestly. But at the end of the day, we got it done. And with Obasi, I mean, if he stays for the following season, I think he could add something to that squad. But there's some moves that have to happen there, man. This team, there's just it didn't feel complete to me.
Well, we can let our friends at Striking Fury do the amount of reporting that they want to do in terms of the things that happened for the Fury before this match. I've heard off the record several things that happened in terms of votes being taken in the clubhouse as to who would play, as to who would coach, etc. Clayson DeLima starting this game was interesting in and of itself. In that Chris Toth is definitely the number one on Ontario, but from what I had heard before the match, DeLima wanted the game, asked for the game, felt he had a beef against the Sockers, and I thought, frankly, that DeLima played great
Yeah.
during the time he was in. We see this wonderful play with the Dallin Cutler steal that we talked about, play of the game, the beautiful no look soul roll pass behind his back. And then Rojo really with a left footed finish, getting the ball over the sprawling DeLima. Just an excellent play all the way around. But the Sockers had determined defense in this match. Everyone lined up to defend, and it starts with the will of Boris Pardo. I don't think Boris, after what happened earlier in the year up in Ontario, Jerry, wants to lose to the Fury ever again in his
No,
career.
absolutely. No,
You know, he
agreed. And sorry, I just go ahead, finish what you were
no,
gonna say.
well, I mean, that was it essentially. Just he doesn't want to ever lose to him, so he's going to come out with his best possible performance, and he does every game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're absolutely right, and I agree with Marlisha here as well. She says Clayson played out of his mind. He kept his team in it. I think he very much did. And if you got to hang out after the game and get some signatures and stuff, Clayson walked out and he was just distraught. He was absolutely upset about not winning this game. And he's, one of those people that's also probably very hard on himself. And he really wanted to win this one, is I guess what I'm trying to say. And so, kudos to him. I think that he did a fantastic job. He did everything that he could. He just didn't get as much help as he should have, I think. And it's a bummer to see it, but it is what it is. Like you said, we'll let our friends over at Striking Fury do that coverage and see what they want to say there. I'm interested to hear it just because I'm nosy. But this game was just it was fun. Honestly, it was fun, even though it was sometimes like nerve-wracking because like I said, I feel like we should have scored so many more, but man, the beautiful goals that we had and that one right there
Yeah,
by our soon to
yeah.
be guest, you know. Oh my gosh.
And the thing about that play too, as we watch the replay here with our fans who are joining us live on Twitch, is that was all about Craig Giles. An intricate series of subtle fakes, including pointing at Tavoy Morgan, looking and pointing at Tavoy Morgan, which just drew the eyes of the Ontario defenders for a split second. And then he rolled the pass, no look, to Leo. And it
Yeah.
was that instant of just people just looking, just not even turning their head, but just looking for a second to try and spot Tavoy. And Craig had the instincts to pass exactly on time. It's why you still need the captain in the lineup, Jerry. He had been out for 4 games. He comes back. He gets 2 assists, playing almost not at all, playing just on set pieces and power plays on Sunday. Craig still comes up with 2 points because he's got every trick in the book.
Yeah. Again, just everybody in this team is adding to the culture it's adding to the numbers, the stats, the obviously the wins. And I think this team really, really wants it. They want to repeat. Like you can see it 100%. I mean, what other way can you put it? But like people like obviously Craig Charles, I mean, indispensable in this point. I think everybody's doing their part, and boy, did Craig do his part. We missed him so much. I was so excited. I told him afterwards, I was like, "So good to see you back, Cap." And he was excited. He was happy. I saw so many mustaches too. Still, people putting on
Yeah.
mustaches. It's a good luck mustache. Still.
For the culture, baby, for the culture. And then, really that I found the last 8 minutes of the match to be very entertaining because, first of all, people are talking about how things are a bit toxic with Ontario. I think you got another example of that with them at 8 minutes, taking Lima out of the match, going to Chris Toth and going to Chris Toth as a sixth attacker, bringing him in to be the combination goalkeeper sixth attacker. And I just have to say, for 3 minutes before he got tired and he got pulled for Gonçalves, Toth was spectacular. I
He
mean,
did great.
he saved a ball. He was doing incredible moves with his feet. He was camping down in the corner, and we were going like, "What is going on here?" And then every time it looked like the Sockers were about to steal the ball, Toth would win it back, and I found it, deeply entertaining, especially
I
seeing
agree.
as they didn't succeed. I found it deeply entertaining.
Especially because they didn't succeed. No, I agree. Me too. Me too.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Sockers win 4-3. Of course, the very last save by Boris Pardo, 11 and a half seconds left, denying a long shot from Topete outside. I said on the air it was the statement to end the match. And he does seem to have a lot of those late game great saves that kind of put the cherry on top to let who's the man in charge. Boris Pardo was the man in charge on this night. I think with a lot of other goalkeepers, the Sockers wouldn't have won. And in fact, you look at the last weekend, Jerry, and you can go through every single match of the final weekend. And if you just went in at the beginning and said, which team needs to win, which team doesn't need to win, you could have written the W by the team that needed to win and been right for every game of the final weekend of the MASL season, except for this game. The Sockers were the only team that had nothing to play for, nothing to prove, that won against a team that had everything to play for and everything to prove. And to me, the differentiating factor is very simple. It's number 27.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. 120%. And you know what's crazy too is there was a lot of talk before the game. Okay, it's probably a good idea to just drop this game. Like the Sockers would actually benefit at some point. And I kept telling everybody that would bring that up or would say something like that, I'd say, no, that's not in the DNA of this club. We're gonna win. It doesn't matter whether it benefits us or not, because you know what? A champion is gonna beat whoever is put in front of them. But yeah, I mean, number 27. What can you what can you not say about that man? Like, geez, what is a fantastic player. And also, there's this, right? There's this
Player of the
too.
month.
I don't know if you want to throw that in there right now, but yeah, I mean, just fantastic.
Yeah, by the way, player of the month in February, Boris Pardo. Player of the month in March, Boris Pardo. It's a
Mm.
nice back to back. And then you know what's going to happen in a couple of weeks? He's going to be the player of the year in terms of goalkeeper. He's going to be the goalkeeper of the year. There's if he's not, I'm going to eat something,
We,
and
we
it won't
riot.
be something I. Yeah, exactly. If not, torches, and we march on the. We first
Riot.
identify an MASL office and then we march on it. Uh, so we don't want to do that. So
We riot
uh,
at Calafino by drinking all the tequila.
that's I think that's an appropriate form of protest. Personally, I think that would be very, very good. Nonetheless, that's where we are. So the Sockers win this one 4-3. They break the hearts of the Fury. Ontario loses their last 8 matches in a row to
Ouch.
end the season. You see
Oof.
Justin Stinson just gutted at the end of the match. And I appreciate that kid's heart. He's one guy that I feel like is there every game, putting an effort. He's a young player, but I think putting an effort forward for the Ontario Fury. And again, honestly, I don't need to go too deep into Ontario analysis, but I felt from a soccer standpoint that the Fury were exceptionally easy to defend on Sunday. And it was because either the ball went to Frank Taillou on the left side and Frank would do his couple of moves and try and beat his guy 1v1. And we've got good enough defenders to stay with him. And then when it didn't happen, he'd pass it back out. Or it would go to the right side and it would be Obasi. And Obasi would creep forward, walk it back, creep forward. And I made the comment on the air. It felt like James Harden in the NBA, ball hogging and dominating a game. And, Nate was like, that's a really good comparison, James Harden. And it's like, if the ball's going to stop in two different spots in a club's attack, that means that all the other players are standing. They're all standing and they're watching to see what happens. And contrast that to the soccer's attack, which is always flowing like water, which is always movement, right? And passing and finding the open man, making the extra pass, looking for where the advantage is and playing it there. That's the way that you break down a team defensively. And I think if you have an incredibly talented 1v1 player that just sits on the ball and dominates the ball, I think that's a lot easier to defend against as a team. And the Sockers, if nothing else, the Sockers are a team.
Yep. I mean, we've been talking about it on this podcast. They're absolutely amazing. I want to give a quick shout out to the actually, they're here with us right now. A couple of them, at least, Marlisha and John, San Diego 609. I got to meet them at this game. So that's made this game extra special for me. You guys are amazing. We do this podcast for you, and it's great when we get to meet you. If you ever see us walking around, either Craig or myself, please do not ever hesitate to say hi. We love talking to you guys. And unless we're running, that there's something going on. But other than that, please let us know what you think, how you're feeling, what you want to see from the show. We're here for you, as I said. And so it was amazing to hang out and to meet you guys, take some pictures and stuff. And yeah, that game was extra special because of that. But man, what a finish to the regular season, Craig. What a finish.
20 straight wins, 23-0-1. And part of this comes back to our head coach, Phil Salvaggio, as well. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of folks who think tactically, right? A lot of times I think tactically. And I've said that to you before, like, oh, there could be an advantage to finishing second, or there could be an advantage to conceding this match. Like I think through things like a player on Survivor, like, well, if we concede this challenge, maybe we can vote out the guy we want. But Phil is a really, really firm believer in momentum. He believes in the power of the positivity of winning, and that one loss can mess you up. That one loss can interrupt your momentum. It can interrupt your flow. It can lead to somebody making an angry comment to another teammate that leads to a division. And so he doesn't want to lose, period. And I think he's onto something, Jerry, in terms of, look when Florida got decimated by Baltimore, right? Played at home, lost by 8 goals. You never see the Sockers lose by a score like that. And every match afterward, they didn't look like that dominant, clicking, sharp Florida Tropics team. They looked like a team that had questions. Kansas City came in soft to the last weekend, sat some players, rested some folks. They wound up losing back-to-back matches. Now, and we'll talk about it in a minute, that could have a massive impact on their season because they didn't play all the way to the finish line. And, by contrast, Milwaukee, a team that won their last 3 matches, they had to take all 9 of those points in order to make the playoffs at all. But now it's in, and in fact, get that point from Kay Vibbert in the chat. Wave are in form now. Wave are looking good. They're looking solid. Oh, and that started in Dallas with a match that the Sidekicks didn't play Gamboa. And kind of played it a little soft and a little easy. And then Dallas went and they lost their next match too. So I really do think Phil's onto something. I think that there was some value in finishing with 20 straight wins as opposed to, hey, we let off the gas pedal, we chilled out, we didn't take the final game seriously. Ontario won, Ontario's in the playoffs. We don't care. Ha ha ha. Like that's just not how our club operates. I give a lot of credit for having his finger on that pulse to truly understand that it's not okay to just drop a game. You've got to keep continuously with that same focus and a continuous emphasis on improvement.
Yeah, no, I agree. And if Phil is not in the running for coach of the year, I don't know what they're thinking. But hey, can we answer this question in the chat? Because I think it's hilarious, and I think because I was wondering the same thing, and then you told me what happened, and I feel like we need to talk about it. So Marlicia was asking about the Florida game, everybody running out, and do you remember that? All the security.
Oh yes, absolutely. Here, look that up on the screen. So, yeah. So after the match, everyone's shaking hands, right? The tunnel doors are open to get off the floor, and some of the players have left, and the visiting side was open, and all of a sudden, and it was like 10 minutes, I think, after the final horn had sounded.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes later, all of a sudden, Eddie Velez from our team goes running. He's like toward the visiting corner, and he goes running into the tunnel and thought he heard something. And then players on the floor saw Eddie take off, and they took off and went running into the tunnel, like thinking that there was a fight or something. And they get in there, and there's Eddie laughing, going, false alarm. So I don't know what he saw, but it was nothing.
It was nothing. No, and it's funny because I mean that game was a chippy one, and it ended. There was some fights, there was some things there that could have happened, and I guess Eddie heard some sounds that to him maybe resembled a fight or an argument. So he ran, and then players ran, and then security ran, and there you go. So yeah, sorry that is anticlimactic, but that's what happened.
And I love this from, we're getting some new folks in the chat, and I love that too, from Va Marauders. The time to let the focus down is when you're lifting the Ron Newman Cup again. That's exactly right. When you can lose focus when the champagne is flying. And until then, there's no time to lose focus. It is time to get focused. All right. I'm really excited about this, Jerry, because for a fact, one of my absolute favorite in the world is Leonardo de Oliveira. And Leonardo de Oliveira does not get a chance to get nearly as much publicity as he could or should. And part of the reason is a simple language barrier, right? I mean, he's Brazilian. His first language is Portuguese. He speaks Spanish, doesn't really speak a lot of English. I don't speak any Portuguese, and just a little bit of Spanish. But we have something special set up. I know, Jerry, you got a chance to talk to Leo after the match Sunday and kind of set this up and say, hey, if we come on and we do this in Spanish, you can translate my questions, you can translate his answers, and we can get a chance to connect with Leo here on Soccer's Overtime. So let's do it. Let's welcome in to the show, making his all-time debut on Soccer's Overtime, the man I'm voting first team All-MASL this year, Leonardo de Oliveira. Leo, muchísimas gracias, amigo.
Gracias.
Buenas tardes, Leonardo, ¿cómo estás?
Bien. Gracias por la invitación.
Bienvenido.
All right, so I'll be asking some questions in English. Jerry, traducir, and Leo, preguntas, respuestas en español. See? Okay, so let's start off just by talking about this season and how things have gone as a whole. What are your thoughts on this club coming together off a championship and putting together a season like this, going 23-0-1 in the regular season?
Leo, la pregunta es, ¿cómo te sientes esa temporada? Claro, venir después de un campeonato el año pasado, la forma en que el equipo está ahorita jugando y tus pensamientos en la temporada en completo ahorita a este punto.
Ajá, mi pensamento es que agarramos muchos jugadores, de grandes jugadores, y la otra temporada que quedamos campeones nos ayudó a, como puedo decir, a conocer jugadores como Tavoy, como Mitchell, e a entrosarmos para esta temporada. Está passando isso de estamos jogando muito bem. Eu creio que foi mais a ajuda destes jogadores. Peleamos um pouquinho na outra temporada, logramos, quedamos campeões, pero foi mais um treinamento para esta temporada, para o entrosamento desta temporada.
Yeah, what he's saying is that, you know, he thinks that the reason that they're doing so well is the introduction of people like Tavoy, people like Michel and players coming into the end of the season. He thinks that they managed to put together something at the end of the season last year in order to win the championship, but that was even more so a practice to come into this season and, you know, really make a statement, which is what they're doing. So,
You know, one of the things, Leo, that I don't think people understand, honestly, was what, in a lot of our opinions, myself, Sean Bowers, our general manager, our coaching staff, really helped transform the team at the end of last season, which was when Tavoy Morgan came in. It also meant that Leo went from being a target forward, in outdoor terms, a number 9, someone who's got their back to the goal, to being more of a facilitator, moving into the midfield, being that second forward, the number 10, so to speak, the guy who's going to attack and set up and distribute. And man, ever since then, you've become a defensive monster, somebody who is dominating on both sides of the field, and also the MASL leader in assists. How exciting of a change was it for you to move to that midfield number 10, so to speak, position?
si la pregunta es que, es claro, cuando entró Tavoy, tu posición cambió un poquito y pues tú pudiste cambiar y ahorita eres un jugador defensivo que un monstruo y nadie te está parando. ¿Cómo te sientes con ese cambio, con la agregación, claro, de Tavoy y pues lo que has podido hacer ahora siendo, teniendo tantos puntos y siendo uno de los mejores en puntos defensivos?
La verdade é que eu sempre he jogado de meio, nomás quando cheguei a esta liga, me mover a delantero, pero a mim nunca me gostou jogar de espada. E eu tenho uma visão boa quando estou com a pelota, e, ou seja, com a chegada de Tavoy, ele me moveu para o meio, é onde me sinto mais a gusto jogando, onde consigo mirar toda a cancha, e para mim me ajudou muito.
He said that he's actually, before he came onto this league and onto this team, that he was a midfielder, and that is where he's most comfortable. He said he never really enjoyed playing with his back or with his back to the goal, and so that when Tavoy came in, it basically put him into his natural position where he feels comfortable and he actually enjoys playing.
Let's talk about that chemistry that you have with Tavoy, because we see the vision you have, the way you play off each other, the way you dance together. I see you at practice, smiling, laughing, always together. What's that chemistry been like between yourself and Tavoy?
Sí, claro. ¿Cómo es la química entre tú y Tavoy?
Tavoy eu estou cuidando de Tavoy, vive aqui atrás de mim, está sempre junto comigo, ou seja, vamos à prática juntos, e não só com Tavoy, com todo o equipo aqui. Eu creio que todos desta liga terem que dia jogar em San Diego. Aqui é diferente, é uma equipa muito unida, somos muito unidos, somos todos aqui, sempre estamos juntos, somos grandes amigos, e creio que isso é o grande segredo de nós outros aqui, hasta disfrutando deste momento, entende?
Yeah, no, love that. So he's saying that he said he takes care of Tavoy, that he lives right there next to him, that they drive to practice together. But he said it's not just Tavoy though, that's the difference about playing in San Diego, and that's why they're having such a great time right now, because it's totally different from anywhere else that he's played. He's enjoying the moment, being with the players and with everybody else, because there's a true camaraderie here that he hasn't felt. And so he's saying that they're just enjoying the moment, and he just really appreciates the time and with Tavoy and everybody else.
Leo, you're a player that players know how good you are. I don't think a lot of the people who are in other markets have always known how good Leonardo de Oliveira is as a player in this league. How important was it for you to get the recognition of winning playoff MVP last year and kind of having a trophy, that recognition of the impact that you have on this team and on the game?
Sí, la pregunta es que, o sea, muchos de otras partes de Estados Unidos a lo mejor no sabían qué tipo de jugador eras y haber ganado el MVP la temporada pasada, qué importante era para ti ganar eso y cómo te hizo sentir, pero aparte, qué importante, qué tan importante era para ti ese reconocimiento.
Eu, na verdade, não buscava ser um MVP. Tu pode passar todos aqui em San Diego, porque são todos grandes jogadores. Eu buscava ser campeão. E depois disso, o que venir para mim ou para quem seja, é algo sim personal, te deixa muito contento. E como me quedei muito contento, logrei de quedar campeão e mais contento com o MVP. Isso para mim não é uma coisa que busco personal, eu busco a ser campeão. Isso é uma coisa parte para mim. Me quedo feliz assim, pero busco mais o título.
Yeah, he's saying that he's happy, but that he was never something that he looked for. He said his main concern is winning championships. He said, sure, it was a good recognition, but he said that MVP could have gone to any player in this team because they're all MVPs as well. But that he first and foremost wants to win a championship. That it made him happy and he enjoyed it, but that's not what he's looking for at the end of the day. So to him, what matters is winning that cup.
One of my favorite things I say on almost every home broadcast, Leo, is at some point when you have one of your feat of magic moments, you dribble out of a triple team. And I always say, I would pay the price of a season ticket just to watch Leo dribble the ball. How much fun is it for you when you've got three guys trying to take the ball from you and then you do your little boop, 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 and all of a sudden you're out of there? Translate that, Jerry.
Quiere que traduzca eso perfecto, a ver si puedo. No, lo que estoy diciendo es que él ya ha dicho muchas veces, especialmente en este programa, que para él, con verte a ti salirte de una marca de 3 hombres, poder salir y tú la forma que controlas el balón, que es con esos momentos vale el boleto de temporada para el equipo, verte a ti hacer cosas así. Y lo que quieres saber es tú cómo te sientes cuando haces ese tipo de jugada, qué está pasando por tu mente, de que estás ahí, tienes 3 hombres marcándote y te sales. Entonces, quieres saber qué te está pasando por la mente y cómo se siente cuando haces eso.
Não, a verdade que para mim é normal. Vivo de meu sonho, sempre sonhei em jogar futebol e vivo de isso. Ou seja, quando estou aí, estou a divertir-me. Não é para os fãs, é para mim também. Para os fãs é para mim. Ou seja, jogo com alegria, sempre tento falar com meus amigos, porque quando está lleno, le hablo. Desfrute o momento, e isto não é sempre que vai passar em tu vida, já está terminando. Ou seja, temos que estar aí e desfrutar. E aparte, vou a divertir a mim. Y con eso, o sea, dejo todos contentos también, ¿me entiende?
Yeah, no, absolutamente. So he's saying that he said he's living his dream, that as a kid he's always wanted to be able to play football, and that he understands and knows that it's not going to be forever, and that he does those types of moves for himself. That he knows that if he does those things for himself, he's going to then be able to make the fans enjoy it as much as he's enjoying it. So if he's enjoying it, he knows that the fans will enjoy it. So he's doing it for himself, but that at the end of the day, like, it's really, he understands that, you know, he's living in the moment. He is not going to be able to do it forever. So he has to do the best that he can for himself. And then the fans will enjoy it just as much.
Do you like the El Mágico nickname?
Que si te gusta el apodo del Mágico.
Creo que a todos, ¿no? Que se tienen un apodo de tienen que gustar, y gracias por el reconocimiento.
Yeah, he's saying, everybody needs to have a nickname, and so he's like, he'll take it.
I was trying to decide, Leo, and you're doing such an amazing job translating, Jerry. Your favorite move this year, because I was thinking about when you brought Jeff Hughes to the ground. Boop, boop, or perhaps behind the back in Baltimore, the behind the back pass to Christian. What's your favorite one this year?
¿Cuál tus movimientos de este año, de tus jugadas, es de tus favoritas?
Eu creio que esta que passou com o Jeff Hughes em Ontário foi algo que gostei mais, porque se caiu e terminou em gol. Las duas terminaram em gol, pero esta mais porque todavía seguí con la pelota.
Yeah. Yeah, he said he enjoyed it more just because he ended up on the floor and the ball was in the back of the net. Yeah. He said
Perfecto,
he said
perfecto.
they both ended in goal, but that one was a little bit more special. So
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Last thing, buddy. Let's look ahead now. It's playoff time, and you already said it in this interview. Winning the championships is what matters the absolute most. You're taking on Milwaukee, another team with championship players, another team with a wonderful Brazilian in Marcio Leite that is waiting to try and take you down. What are your thoughts on the challenge of this series?
claro, ya estamos en los playoffs, vamos a enfrentarnos contra el equipo de Milwaukee, un equipo que también tiene mucha historia, muchos campeonatos también, tiene a un brasileño también en Marcio Leite. ¿Cómo te sientes con este juego que sigue y cómo estás sintiéndote mentalmente y el equipo también para jugar contra Milwaukee?
Bom, a equipe de nosotros está bien preparada. Respeitamos a equipe de Milwaukee, tem muitos grandes jogadores allá, não só Márcio, como Luan, como Ian, tem muitos jogadores. Pero, e agora, o que hacemos para trás não conta, agora começamos do zero, e este é o bueno, começou o bueno, que todos logramos a temporada buscando os playoffs, e agora é desfrutar de lo juego, de las partidas com muitos fãs, e eu creio que é o que estavam buscando, não tem a preparação da cabeça, já vem desde quando começamos, é a mesma, estou me focado em lo mesmo, a ganhar, partido por partido, e é isso.
Yeah, he's saying Milwaukee is obviously a very talented team, and that this is, we're starting from scratch again, that everything that happened in the past doesn't matter anymore. We're starting, 0-0 again. And so they have to just keep doing what they've been doing this entire season, which is just win game by game, keep it going, that they're fully aware that this team is a good team. But every team that they face this season is the same. So they just have to start anew and keep doing what they're doing, just enjoying the games, take it one step at a time, and good things will happen.
Well, Leo, we can't thank you enough for spending a few minutes here with us on Soccer's Overtime. I'm so glad we can make this happen. I was hoping I would have maybe my Duolingo would be better than I could do it myself, but maybe next year. But nonetheless, thank you. Please travel safely. Have an incredible match on Thursday. We will all be here watching, and we will see you back at the arena on Sunday.
Sí, buena suerte, que les vaya bien en el viaje. Nos vemos el domingo en la arena. Y como dice, está practicando todavía su español. Yo le estoy ayudando también, ¿eh? Yo le estoy dando clases. Poquito por poquito está aprendiendo Craig, pero para la próxima ojalá y puedan tener una entrevista y él te pueda hacer las preguntas. Pero muchas gracias, Leo.
No, yo que le agradezco por la invitación y perdona a mí no hablar inglés, no es culpa de ella, es culpa mía, no está hablando inglés. Y gracias por decir de lo vuelo y que logramos ahí la victoria para quedar más tranquilo domingo aquí en la casa.
Sí, claro, vamos.
One moment. We have another question from the chat, Jerry. It came from somebody, Tavoy M9. Who is your favorite player on the team?
Pregunta de una nueva persona que se llama Tavoy M9. Pregunta, ¿quién es tu favorito jugador del equipo?
Yo no puedo elegir uno, escoger uno. Son todos aquí, son todos mis favoritos.
He said that Boy Morgan is his favorite player.
That's not what he said. I know that.
he said every player. He can't pick a player. Everybody's great.
Oh, so good. Leo, have a great rest of your night, man. Thank you so much for the time.
Leo, nos vemos.
Nos vemos. Thank you.
Bye.
Gracias, amigo. Leonardo de Oliveira. That was great, man. Your ears are like smoking. Your head was working double time there.
Dude, why you got to throw questions like that at me? Muchas gracias de nuevo a Leo que estuvo aquí. It's so good to have him. And again, I told you, man, we can do these things. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking players. Actually, you know what? It makes me want to learn Portuguese because I can communicate with Leo better. He's such a cool guy, and he's added so much to the team. But you know now, and I've told you this before. I don't think we wanted to jump into it, but now that you see I can do it, hopefully you can trust me, and maybe we can have Churras on. You know, we can have some of these guys that don't necessarily speak English. But yeah, no, what a fantastic answer from Leo, right? It's I want to win. I want a championship. That's the main concern. That's what I want to accomplish. And it's not like the personal accolades, and we can see it from the players. It's not about one guy, it's about the entire team. And that is what is coming off of this squad like at all times. I mean, you'll talk to them. I talked to Charlie. I got to talk to Taboy. I got to talk to Leo. And you just, my goodness, dude, you just absolutely are able to feel it. Like we can say it here on the pod, but when you go and talk to them, like it speaks for itself. Like you'll hear it. So yeah, love it.
Great stuff, Leonardo de Oliveira. I mean, he just has such an infectious energy. And, you know, I try as many times as I can on the broadcast to highlight his defensive efforts because I truly believe Leonardo de Oliveira is one of the 3 or 4 most underappreciated, underrated players in the MASL. He's one of those players that other players know is a bear and a load and impossible to handle. But then around the league, people just, I hear it all the time. I see it on MASL Mondays or on any of the other shows. And people talk about the Sockers and they go, oh, well, the Sockers have great players like Tavoy and Childs and Escoto and Pardo. And they always leave out Leo. I'm like, Leo's doing the most work of any of these players, folks. Leo's the guy who defends 2. Leo's the guy who runs the most on the team as a big guy. And I think there's a lot of people who, when they first saw Leo, thought, oh, well, he's a big guy. He's going to be a little bit slow. You know, he's going to be a little. Are you kidding me? Leo got that fitness level right last year, and he runs people down. He steals the ball away in critical situations. He's such a hard worker. And I just feel like as much shine as he can get, he deserves every single twinkle of it.
Yeah, and now I deserve some credit because I know you already put this up, but let's just talk about this real quick. Yeah, thanks, Craig. Your questions are
I really did think about it after the second question. I was like, I really put too much into that.
I did my best, though. I think those that speak Spanish can tell me how I did. I think there was one that I did add a little bit extra to it because I wasn't sure on how to translate it. My brain kind of like shut off for a second from your super long question, but then it was fine after that. So people can tell me how I did, and I hope it wasn't terrible.
It was excellent. Are you kidding me?
You're absolutely right, though. Like he is. The more and more I see him and then interact with him, not only is he a fantastic player, he's a fantastic person. So he's quickly becomes a fair player. But I mean, even if you don't know him on a personal level, what he does on the field, he never gets enough credit for it, ever.
Let's get to MASL and soccer's news to wrap up because we got a lot of important things. In fact, we've got something juicy. We got something. I'm so excited. And I got to tell you, Jerry. So this morning I turn up at training and Sean Bowers sees me, right? You know, gives me a little fist bump. And then he kind of pulls me to the wall and he goes, I've got something to tell you and it's going to make you smile. He goes, I know, you just had a long drive. It's a tough morning, but I'm going to tell you something that's going to make you smile. And so I was like, really? Cross my arms, set myself in a deep frown. I'm like, try it. Try it, Bowers. Bring it. And then he told me, and then I had a giant smile. So he was right. And now I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to give you all a giant smile, okay? So we have gone through this Ron Newman Cup playoff format a few times, right? And as you know, Jerry, on Sunday, I was asking the league for playoff scenario clarifications, getting one every 20 minutes. Like every other one was wrong, and then I'd get one that was right. But one of the things that we talked about on this show a few weeks ago was that the league announced that there would be a reseeding in the playoffs between round 1 and round 2. Between the quarterfinals and the semifinals, there would be a reseeding. Well, the word reseeding, we naturally took that to mean that it would be based on the seeds of the bracket. Right now, the Sockers are the number 1 seed. Florida is the East Division champ, is the number 2 seed. Kansas City is the Central Division champ, is the number 3 seed. And then the next 5 spots are determined by wild card point standings, right? The next 5 highest points totals.
Yeah.
Well, it did turn out that Chihuahua finished with 4 more points than Kansas City. But Kansas City's the 3rd seed because they won the division. Chihuahua was a 2nd place club. But here we go. I get clarification first from our owner, and then I heard the information. I said, trust but verify. I went to the league. The league verified to me. When the reseeding is done in the 2nd round, it is done on points. It is not done on the original seeds. It is done on your season point standings total. So Chihuahua's the 4 seed in the 1st round. But if all of the favorites advance, Chihuahua's the 3rd seed in the 2nd round.
Oh. We don't have to face them?
So it means the Sockers would not face Chihuahua in the 2nd round. They would face, if all the favorites advance, they would face Kansas City instead of Chihuahua. That's huge.
That's huge. This is my face right now too, John. That's huge, 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 huge.
We've been thinking the whole time that the Sockers were locked in unless there was an upset to face the small field champion, either Chihuahua or Baltimore. But that is not necessarily the case. If all the favorites advance, Kansas City will become the 4th seed, and it'll be San Diego, Kansas City, and it would be Chihuahua, Florida in the other semifinal. Why is that the case? It's because Kansas City took their foot off the gas, Jerry, in the final weekend. And I got to be honest, I bet, like us, that they didn't realize this. I bet, like us, they thought that they were locked in 3rd and they had no possible movement. And so they played, half their lineup and they lost both games. If they had won both games, they wouldn't be the 4 seed in the 2nd round. They'd be the 3 seed. They would have finished 2 points ahead of Chihuahua. So I'm going back to what we were talking about before Leo came on in terms of Phil's just win every game philosophy, and yeah, as Marlisha is pointing out, the possibility of a Sockers Savage final now doesn't involve an upset in the bracket. It involves all the favorites advancing. That would be the result, would be a Sockers Savage final if the, so to speak, Vegas favorites advanced out of each round. So when I heard that, I had a big smile because I think everyone knows that Chihuahua is going to be an absolute monster and that going down there trying to win that game 1 is going to be so hard. And how many times have the Sockers been eliminated by the Mexican team in the league in the semifinals? It's happened like 4 different times. So that's the last thing that we ever wanted to see. And here it is now, a potential path out of that semifinal. And I think if it comes that way, I think Soccer Savage would be just an amazing final for this league, a binational final. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sockers have to beat Milwaukee Thursday at Milwaukee Panthers and Sunday at Hunger just to get to the 2nd round, never mind the 3rd. But hey, I figured everyone would want to hear that news.
Yeah, it's good news. I love it. It's the best.
MASL news. All right, so that's the big breaker. Playoff bracket pretty much sorts out kind of how we figured. Obviously not in the 7 seed, Jerry, but Sockers Milwaukee, Florida, St. Louis, Kansas City, Dallas, Chihuahua, Baltimore. Do you think all the favorites advance? Do you see an upset in this bracket?
I'm not sure. No, I think Florida will beat Ambush. I think Chihuahua will beat the Blast. Comets will beat maybe Dallas.
That's Dallas. The one. Yeah, I think that's the one possible upset in the first round is if Jamie Lovegrove has that team on point, if Ricardinho has that team on point, if Gamboa wins the first game in Dallas, and then you're coming back, then you could see a close match in game 2. Who knows? Maybe it goes to the knockout game. The Comets need to regain form. They've lost some of their form. Neto's been injured. He's been playing, but he hasn't been playing at top form. They've had the Wichita, D2 goalkeeper starting at times. They lost Tetsane due to injury. They had a kid that just came in, Benji Monreal, that they thought was going to be lighting the league on fire. He's been injured as well. So KC missing a couple of their pieces. Of course, we know the Sockers have been missing a few pieces the last few weeks too, but nonetheless, they don't quite have the same depth. So yeah, I think that's an interesting one. And I agree completely with Kay Vibbert in the chat. I think the small field championship is going to be the series of the first round. I'd like to think the Sockers are going to handle Milwaukee, although from a marquee franchise standpoint, unquestionably, that's 22 championships combined going head to head. It's incredible, the heritage, the lore, Milwaukee, San Diego. But in terms of competitiveness, Baltimore, Chihuahua, Vinny Dantas on Baltimore. Is there a playoff Vanzella waiting? William didn't have a great year, but like in basketball, they talk about playoff Rondo. Is there playoff Vanzella waiting to really jump into another level? So I'm very much looking forward to that one. And I know that series will continue, Jerry. You've put the schedule up there. I believe Friday is the first game, but then Monday is the second game down in Chihuahua. So after our series is over, we'll get to enjoy watching that finish up.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a really fun matchup between Chihuahua and Baltimore. I'm still taking Chihuahua, honestly, on this one, but we'll see. Vanzella has done crazier things, and he's a crazy man. So if he just, is he going to put the entire Baltimore blast on his back and just carry the team? But it's a possibility, so we'll see.
It's a possibility. Wanted to really quickly address what happened with our broadcast on Sunday, because the game at first lost audio and then went off the air altogether. And we had to jump from MASL Soccer on Twitch to MASL Soccer 3 on Twitch. And everyone was discombobulated, us most of all, up in the booth. And I just want to let you know that it had absolutely nothing to do with anything technical. That Twitch was the one who silenced the broadcast. They said that there was some violation of their terms of service. We had read it as copyright violation, but it wasn't even that. The league is trying to figure out what happened to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And no one was happy that the interruption occurred. But I just wanted to let you know that all we know is that it wasn't a technical issue. That it had something to do with Twitch's algorithms getting triggered, one of their warning flags getting lifted. Originally, we thought it might have been when the beautiful Aztec pep band was playing in the background, that maybe it triggered a copyright music thing. But as I was reminded, any cover is not considered copyrighted. So which is certainly what a marching band is. No, John San Diego 619, I did not cuss on the broadcast and take us off the air, as is being intimated in our comments. That is not what happened. We don't know what happened, but we hope it doesn't happen again.
It was on that. It was on one of those plays, from those dirty plays from Ontario, where you're like, "What the?" And then it just cut. I'm very interested to see what happens and what comes out of that. Like, what exactly did it? Because wow, everybody was tuning in, I think, to this game, right? Yeah. It was the only game on at that point, so everybody was tuning into this match that could have seen Ontario, move into the playoffs or not, and possibly knock somebody else out of the playoffs. So that was interesting, to say the least.
And I see a lot of folks in the chat going, even if you were cursing, Twitch wouldn't have taken you off. So, okay. True. All right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up in terms of, I know a lot of people were frustrated about that. A lot of the players were asking me on Monday at training, like, hey, what's going on? What happened? What did something break? Did something break down? No. So, and as Kawhi 90 says, they've got bots flagging stuff 24/7 on Twitch. So some algorithm got triggered, something happened, and the league is really working with Twitch to make sure that doesn't happen, because I've got to say, I mean, we criticized the move, and I would still criticize the timing of the move from YouTube to Twitch. I will also tell you that we have been in direct contact with the league saying, take all these games, because the past game broadcasts that were archived on the Twitch channels aren't there. 2 weeks later, they're not there. I was asked on Monday morning to put together a clip reel of the last 2 Milwaukee Wave games, and my answer was, where are they? They're not there. So we have put direct requests to the league to put every single match replay up on MASL TV on YouTube. And I've seen the admins in the chat going, yeah, we're going to do that. But I haven't seen the league do it yet. So I'll say it on Soccer's Overtime too. Every match needs to be archived on MASL TV. If you want to start archiving games on Twitch, they need to stay there. They need to not just be there for a week and then go away. They need to stay there forever. So, and even so, I don't like being like, oh, I'll watch the first 20 matches of the season on YouTube and then I'll watch the last 4 on Twitch. It's confusing. So hopefully the league will come to that point, and they will have one spot that is, that is a central hub for all of the archived broadcasts, and that spot should be YouTube. And let's go, MASL. Let's go. Let's get that fixed.
Yep.
Okay, last thing on MASL news. I filled out my MASL awards ballot today, Jerry.
Okay.
I am a league voter.
Must be
and it is. It's nice. It's really nice. I get a Survey Monkey email. I fill it out. It's really good. So I'm not going to go through first team, second team. I could. This is a podcast. I could. I'll just go through the big awards. And I went Soccer's heavy, okay? Because I don't think that the league is going to follow my suit. I don't think the league is going to give the Soccers too much dap for being the best team in the league. So my ballot reflects the Soccers being the best team in the league. And I've got for MASL MVP Tavoy Morgan. And I respect the hell out of Ian Bennett. And quite frankly, I will say, I believe that Ian will win MVP. I believe that Ian will win MVP. And I think he is deserving of the award in that he will get the most votes. He'll win it. He led the league in goals. He led the league in points. Without him, Milwaukee wouldn't have made the playoffs, undoubtedly. However, their team went 10-14. Their team won 10 games and lost 14 games. The Soccers won 23 games, okay? And if you have an outstanding performer on an outstanding team, I rate that above an outstanding performer on a losing team. That's how I do it. Have your own vote. You can do your own thing. So I voted Tavoy Morgan MVP of the league. And quite frankly, usually every year, this league awards MVP to whoever's the Golden Boot winner. They just take the goals winner and they give them MVP. And look, it's really hard to score goals. He ain't scored 50 this season. He's an incredible player. There's no question about it. But it's my vote. It's my ballot. And I voted Tavoy Morgan MVP. I voted Mitchell Cardenas Defensive Player of the Year. And I think that he has been the dominant defender in this league. And I bet you any amount of money that he won't win the award because he didn't lead the league in blocked shots. And the blocked shot stat, the most capricious stat in the MASL, the stat that's the most manipulated, the stat where it all depends on where you play, not how you play. Because some teams will give 25 block shots and other teams will give 6 or 7. Mitchell Cardenas has shut down the best players in the league. Mitchell Cardenas has taken these other guys and shut them down. Ian Bennett scored 49 goals against the rest of the league. He got 1 against San Diego and was on a set piece. In the run of play, he didn't score any. Frank Taillou got 30 goals in 18 games against the rest of the league. He got 2 goals in 6 games against San Diego. One of those was an own goal. Okay. Nick Pereira had 42 points in 15 games against the rest of the league. Against the Sockers, he had 6 points in 6 games. Jorge Rios had 38 points in 17 games against the rest of the league. Against the Sockers, he had 6 points in 3 games, all 6 of those points in Chihuahua. He got shut out by the Sockers on the big field in San Diego. Take those 4 players, all of whom will probably be on all league teams, 2 of whom definitely deserve to be. They combined for 183 points in 72 games against the rest of the league, 2.5 points a game. They combined for 17 points in 15 games against the Sockers, 1.1 point per game. And do you know who defended those players? Mitchell Cardenas and Guerrero Pino. You know, and the reason that Cardenas gets my vote over Pino because he missed hand games. And Cardenas answered the bell for all 24 games, wound up with 10 points on offense. But he's the best defender who defends other teams' best players. And that isn't easily shown on the MASL stats page. And that's why Mitchell probably won't win this award. But he absolutely deserves to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Right.
for intense analysis. Goalkeeper of the year.
No analysis for me because you absolutely that was a mic drop. Like Kawi 90 said it. Mic drop.
Goalkeeper of the year is Boris Pardo, and Boris Pardo is going to win Goalkeeper of the Year. We don't have to talk about it. That's the one that there's no second choice. Goalkeeper of the year will be Boris Pardo. I voted Phil Salvaggio Coach of the Year. It's 23-0-1. What do you want? I believe Ricardinho of Dallas will win Coach of the Year for being 11-13 or 13-11 or whatever they are. But of course, generally Coach of the Year isn't who's the best coach of the best team. Usually Coach of the Year is who has surprised the league the most with a surprising result. Dallas was the most surprising team in the league. They were universally picked to not make the playoffs. They finished 6th. So good on them. But I'm voting Phil Coach of the Year. But Rookie of the Year, Luis Morales of Dallas was my pick.
I like that one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could have voted Sean Callahan or Xavier Snare-Williams if I wanted to go 100% Sockers. But no, Luis Morales, terrific player, very dangerous scorer, and he is my pick for Rookie of the Year. So those are the 5 major award winners. Those are my votes. Those are the votes that are turned in, which means they're going to be one of however many votes that come in. And I hope that the whole league sees everything exactly the way I do. But I doubt that they do.
I mean, those are perfect picks. That would be my list if I could vote, but only you can vote. So absolutely. I think that you hit it perfectly. You hit the nail right on the head. Like those are absolutely the picks. And it's gonna be interesting to see what happens at the end of the year and see who the league ends up picking. But you don't know who, like, how many votes actually go into this?
I don't know the specific number. No, okay. I know that there's at least one front office or team representative from each team, and I know players vote, and I know coaches vote too.
Oh, cool.
So
okay,
nice. They'll come up with it, but. I've had too many other media members demonstrate through the course of the year that they don't watch any games other than their own. And as you know, I watch every game in the league. Yeah. So when I fill out a Sockers heavy ballot, it's not because I'm a Sockers honk. It's because our team is the best team in the league, and they absolutely deserve that. And yes, Chris Funk will be my vote for Fan of the Year. Driving out from Arizona for every home game the last 2 full seasons. That is unparalleled commitment. Attaboy, Officer Funk. Way to go. Great stuff. Okay, let's get to Sockers news. Let's get to some exciting announcements. Our playoff series. Thursday, 4:30 p.m. Sockers at Milwaukee. at UW Milwaukee Panther Arena in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That is a 4:30 Pacific time start. We are opening up the Calafino Sublimate Lounge on Thursday afternoon for a Sockers watch party. So if you happen to be in North County, 3238 Greyhawk Court is the address. Come on by, join us. We'll have some complimentary pizza and salad. I think we're going to make a Costco run before the watch party. So we'll have some pizzas for you. We'll have some leafies for you at 4:30. There might be other things there, but we won't talk about that because there's a difference between when the Calafino Lounge is private and when it's public. So what we can say and can't say. But anyways, it's Thursday and it's 4:30 and it's at the Calafino Sublimate Lounge, 3238 Greyhawk Court in Carlsbad. If you're a North County person or if you want to drive up, we will see you there. I will be there at the playoff watch party. All of our Sockers front office will be there. So come on up. If you've never been to the Calafino Lounge, it's absolutely gorgeous. There's a gigantic video wall where the game will be shown in addition to the TVs that are over the bar. So it's a great place to watch the game. It's a beautiful lounge. And we invite you to come on out and join us and to cheer together as one as we take on Milwaukee in match 1. Then match 2, of course, is Sunday at home. 5:05 p.m. will be the kickoff for the deciding leg of the quarterfinals, right? Match 2. And if the series is tied 1-1 at the end of that second match, then we would play a knockout game, a 15-minute game that would determine the winner. And of course, if it was tied at the end of 15 minutes, it would go to overtime and golden goal, sudden death. But let's hope it never gets to that this weekend, unless the Sockers needed to. And that's the setup. 5:05 is the game. We will be giving away rally towels, Jerry, to everybody who comes in. So get ready to wave those rally towels. That will be exciting. There's also something really cool that the organization is doing in terms of standing with Ukraine and standing with this country that has been getting absolutely bombarded horrifically by Russia over the course of the last month. So I know there are multiple things happening at the arena that we're going to be doing in terms of standing with Ukraine, including accepting some donations. So like there'll be a box for clothing drive, a clothing drive donation. There'll be a table set up right next to our merch booth with a lot more information. I know we're doing some ticket giveaways. We're giving away, the Sockers are giving away some of our apparel because there are refugees from Ukraine that are here in San Diego now. People who have left since the war that are here in San Diego. We are inviting them to the game. We have offered free tickets. We have distributed free tickets and apparel as well. So, and there's ways for you to get involved as well. Go to our website, sdsockers.com, and you can find out a lot more about how we'll be standing with Ukraine on Sunday at our match. Okay, last thing, and I'm really, really excited about this. As you know from last week's show, if you tuned in, the MASL announced that there was a shield, a regular season championship, and the Sockers then won the MASL shield, which has never been awarded before, and it will be awarded on Sunday. Now, here's the thing. And yes, we should have a Sockers 2 update too, Jason. Thank you so much. But let me write myself a little note to finish up with Sockers 2. Here's the thing. It's a regular season award, the MASL Shield. But the MASL asked us to have the commissioner fly out on Sunday to do a presentation. I spoke to the captains of our club, Jerry. It's not really surprising. And if you've ever been around a hockey team, you understand this completely.
Mm-hmm.
They have absolutely no interest in lifting a piece of silverware pre-match in front of a team that they're trying to beat for a different piece of silverware.
Yeah, no.
Like that, you don't do that.
We call that bad juju.
Precisely right. You call that bad juju. And we don't want bad juju. And we told the commissioner, if you want to show up on April 3rd with that shield before the Fury game, you can do a pregame ceremony with our club. But if you're coming to the playoff game, that's not going to happen. But that's okay. Because a shield, it makes us think of MLS, right, Jerry?
Yes.
And it makes us think of MLS Supporters Shield. Because a shield should be for supporters. A regular season trophy should be for those who are there every match in the regular season, contributing their energy to the club, sacrificing a little bit of their ability to sit down and watch and enjoy the game in order that they bring the energy that helps the rest of the fans enjoy the game even more. It's the basis of supporters culture. It's what makes supporters culture so special, and it's why the shield should be for the supporters. And so it shall be, Jerry. So it shall be.
Love it.
Because on Sunday, and we've told the league this, we've talked to our players, and we have set this up. On Sunday, when the commissioner shows up at halftime with that shield, and he's not going to do it pregame, he's going to do it at club along. Okay.
Oh, you
And
broke up a
when
little bit, but
Keith
you said during the halftime. Sorry. You broke up a bit. You're saying he is going to be doing it during halftime.
He'll be at halftime. The commissioner, Keith Tozer, he will not do it pregame. The club will be in the locker room. The club won't touch it. Okay. Keith Tozer will present that shield to probably Phil Salvaggio, maybe Sean Bowers. And then we are going to have two supporters on the floor down there representing the past, the present, and the future of supporters culture in San Diego, California. Representing the present and the future. Well, yes, representing the present and the future, Adrian from Los Brujos de 78, the man who is pounding the drums in Section 19 every game, the man who is restarting supporter culture here for the San Diego Sockers. And representing the past and present of our supporters is Gennaro Cowboys Salazar, who has been there every match, practically home and road, since we've come back in 2009. Okay, you know him from his sombrero. You know him from holding up the jersey of every single player, coming in with those two clear bags full of player jerseys every single game. And so those two guys are going to handle that shield at halftime. They will be the ones that will present it to the crowd. They will be the ones who hold it up and walk it off of the floor. And then if we win the game and we win the series, when we win the series, stay tuned, because post-match, then we're going to do it even more special. And we'll keep those supporters involved. We'll keep Cowboys involved. We'll keep Adrian involved. And that's when the club would get involved, is after the match, after it's done, after everything's resolved, the way it should be. So I am so excited for this. And I really hope that if you are a local that's listening, if you are a Chavo that's listening, if you are just a Sockers fan that's listening, understand this is where our heart is. This is where we are. This is what we want to do with supporters culture. There's no other club in this league that is going this direction. We have the first chance to touch this shield. We have the first chance to set the precedent and to set the tradition, and we are setting it in the hands of the people who support this club the most, our fans, our supporters.
I love it. I am so excited for this. I think two very deserving people, and I don't think this will be the last time that we win the shield. This is the first time anybody gets to touch this thing, and I think that it's very appropriate that it's the Sockers, and two, that we start the tradition of doing it this way, so that other clubs maybe will follow suit, and the supporters will understand how important they are to these teams. And I think this is our way of saying thank you to all of you that are here now, because it's like you are on the field, because you very much deserve it. This shield is yours. And man, what a season it has been. So excited to have, won it, but also just what it means to the supporters and to those that are day in, day out, wearing our colors and there at games. So love it, Craig. I think it's absolutely amazing.
All right. Last thing. We were asked for that Sockers 2 update. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the first half hour of the show, right? How Sockers 2 beat RGV dramatically, 6-5 in Golden Goal overtime. And as such, They have advanced to the M2 Final Four. They are playing a Final Four format. They are doing it in Muskegon, Michigan. And Friday at 4 p.m. Our time, the Sockers will take on the Omaha Kings and actually I think that's for their time. So it'd be 1 o'clock our time. The Sockers will face the Omaha Kings in the first semifinal doubleheader. Then in game 2, it'll be the Cleveland Crunch taking on the Muskegon Risers. And then the two winners will play on Sunday in the championship game. Those games should be available online. Go to m2soccer.com to find out more. Obviously, we aren't involved in the broadcast. They'll be coming from Muskegon, but good luck to Rene Ortiz and to Alex Monar and to Ray Gutierrez, the coaching staff of Sockers 2. Good luck to Ishmael Rojo. I think Poyo will be playing in that game, Dallin Cutler, and Yayo Oliveira, and the rest of Sockers 2. Very, very exciting. John San Diego 619, I believe they are going to be on YouTube. Don't quote me on it. Don't quote me on it. Go to m2soccer.com. Stay tuned. They're going to have the latest information on that website. But very much looking forward to that. And there you go. Gabe saying M2 has been on YouTube, so it should stay on YouTube. And looking forward to following that action. Good question from Kay Vibard. Where will Cutler and X be? Xavier will be with the team in Milwaukee. Will be with the number one team no matter what. If the Sockers need Dallin Cutler will be with the Sockers. But I wouldn't be surprised, Jerry, because that game's on Friday, for him to fly to Milwaukee and play in that match and then go on to Muskegon. And I did see Gabe say, did Dallin say he with a post that he was done here? I asked about this at training, Gabe, and my understanding is Dallin did say he's hanging him up in May. So I think he is staying with the club through the playoffs, but we'll wait and see. Dallin Cutler, man, didn't know him until this year, but what a really cool dude.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, still lots of exciting things to keep track of. Never a dull moment in the world of indoor soccer, Craig.
Well, my friend, that brings an end to this week's episode. I know we will be back next week, and I certainly hope that we will be back next week previewing the semifinals and recapping a quarterfinals win over the Milwaukee Wave. We promise to do this show live all the way through the end of the Sockers run, which we certainly expect to be at the Ron Newman Cup.
Yes.
Real quick before we go, Marlisha asking, a few weeks ago, you mentioned some possible dates for home playoff games. Are these still possibilities? Sunday, April 17th is 100% a possibility. It does depend on who we play. In Masl, the second round could be pushed to Tuesday the 19th, our home game, just depending on availabilities. But that's our first hold is the 17th. There is one other date, and that date is May the 8th. Okay? There's a chance that we could stretch out all the way to May the 8th because we really don't want to play the grand final on a Monday night at Pechanga Arena. So keep that date in your back pocket, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Thursday at Milwaukee is the only thing on our minds. Let's put the blinkers on like the horses in the race, in the racing stalls. Nothing but the eye ahead of us. Let's go.
Let's go.
What a great show, Jerry. Thanks so much for translating for Leo to get Leo on the air with us.
Oh, of course. It's my pleasure, my honor. And it won't be the last. I'm excited to have more guests and do some more translating. I'll get better. You can only get better with practice, Craig. So, muchísimas gracias. Fue un placer.
Special thanks to everybody who's joined us in the chat live on Twitch and to everybody who's watching the replay on YouTube or is listening on podcast. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the show. Leave us a 5-star review, written review as well. It always helps. For Jerry Jimenez, I'm Craig Elson. We'll see you Thursday at the Calafino Lounge with Watch Party Action. We will see you Sunday at the arena and then back here Tuesday at 5 with another edition of Soccer's Overtime. Thanks for tuning in. Go Sockers!